Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. It's great to be back out. You'll be able to see by the smile on my face. I'm back out in nature, I'm back in the forest. I'm over here on Vancouver Island for a couple of days. Now we got in yesterday, it was bright blue sky weather. I hadn't seen Adam for about 5 months, so we just decided to recce a couple of locations that we might visit while I'm here and just catch up and have a good gossip. It was great. Spent the evening, tried out Adam's new roof tent. It was luxury, it was really nice and warm, up off the ground, away from the bears. I have been spending quite a lot of my time doing street photography and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. It's just nice to mix it up from time to time. Now in that time I have been trying to get out and do some landscape photography local, but every weekend that I've been off work, all it's done is rain, it really has. But I've still been out, I've still been trying, I've been capturing the street photography photos in the rain. I'll put some of those images up. So that's a good reason for doing a couple of genres of photography, because you can switch it up for when the weather suits. But I really was craving to get back over on the island, do some landscape photography and see what I can capture. So I'm looking forward to the next couple of days. But for now, we got up early this morning. We've hiked up the trail up the coastline here, and we're at a place called Paysank Creek, and it's beautiful, it really is. So I'm looking forward to taking some photographs in this location and see how we get on. It's just nice to be back. So I'm going to get back to my bag and I'm going to have a look around this location that I'm going to show you now, and it really is beautiful, and see if we can capture some images. So great to be back, and I hope you enjoy the rest of today's video. I've got this nice canyon, it's got some lovely green mosses, it's nice and vibrant in here, and we've just got enough water coming down this stretch of the forest here through this canyon. But what a lovely scene, we've got plenty of interest, we've got old trees that have fallen over crisscrossing this part of the canyon, this little canyon here. But the vibrant green mosses along with the ferns, some of the ferns, it's still early spring, so they're looking a bit drab and dreary. It's not as bright as we expected. We thought they were going to be a bit further along and a bit more standy uppy rather than droopy. But there's some nice colour in there amongst the old ferns. We've got some oranges in there, so it breaks up all the green, because there is a lot of green in this area. And see if I can get a shot. Now as we were coming through and up this part of the canyon towards these falls, Adam noticed that we've got a couple of logs, some deadfall that's fallen into the canyon behind, which is a bit unfortunate because it blocks the two little falls in the background there. Now Adam's been here before with Gavin and he said that those logs weren't there, so that's just unfortunate, but it's still a lovely scene, and it's a scene that I want to capture. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explore this area at different focal lengths, get my camera off the tripod, move about and see what I can come up with. You'll be able to see I'm on the side of the canyon wall here, and like I was explaining, I want to include as much of those ferns to the left hand side of the can. And the waterfalls, the two first set of falls, they're just going to be slightly off centre, and then you're going to see some of that waterfall, as much as you can, of the one in the background. Now I've decided to shoot this shot with the 35mm. If you go too wide, it's going to push the falls too far back. And at 35mm, it's close to what I can see. Landscape polarizer, like I said, I don't want to overly use it, just enough to take some of that sheen and glare off the rocks in the water, and that'll be enough. Now it has started to rain for the time being, so I'm going to try and get this shot quickly. But it's really nice in here, it is, you know, it's a rainforest at the end of the day, so a bit of rain doesn't harm. Now we've got the trees above, there's not a lot of movement there, so that's great, and the water's not running that quick, so I can get away with those longer shutter speeds and still retain detail in the water, because I don't want to blur that water out too much. Now there is some bubbles in the pool in front. I'll see if I can capture some motion using those bubbles in the pool, and we'll just see how we get on, but it's absolutely wonderful. Slippy. Now what I've done differently now is I've came slightly away off the side of the canyon walls, made my way into part of this river here, and I've swapped out the lenses. I've put the 24mm on because I want to go a lot wider, because I want to do a panorama style shot. So that's why I've decided to swap out the lenses. It's always good to try different focal lengths. You know, get a nice tight close-in shot, get further back and include a nice panorama style shot. So that's what I'm going to do. We've got two sets of falls in the far background there, but you can only actually see one. Now the one to the left hand side, it's not that interesting, there's not a lot of water coming down it, so discarding that waterfall, it still really works, and we've got the main three that we can see. Now what I also noticed earlier on when I was taking the first series of shots, I noticed that I was getting slight flare coming in from the top left corner there. Now even though we haven't got bright sunlight in here today and it's really cloudy and overcast, the fact that we've got that light coming from up above, it still can create some flare in the top of your images. So what I've done to counteract that, I actually used my hand just to shield the top of the lens to stop some of that light bleed coming in the left corner. Now I also noticed that my polarizer was steaming up for the first couple of shots that I was taking. So always be aware of that. Every now and again, have a look at your polarizer and make sure that it hasn't fogged up. So I'm going to get back, get this shot, and I hope you like it. Well, it's quite a different day now. As you can see, we've got that bright sunshine. We didn't get much longer in the forest where those pools and the little falls were because we had too much sunlight coming in. Now we waited for some time to try for some more images, but we just decided to head out and make our way back up the coast because it's a bit of a hike in here. It's about 3 kilometres through the forest, and there was lots of mud and lots of pools to make our way through, so we decided to take a slow walk back. Now as we came out the forest there, we noticed and realised that the tide was out, so we could actually make our way down onto the coast here and walk up the coast instead of walking back through the forest, so that was great. So it speeded things up a bit. Now it's really windy now, we're on this coast, the waves are crashing up on the shore, and we've just been having a slow walk exploring the coastline here. Now in front of us, I'll put some video up because it is rather windy. We've got some of these algae on the rocks along with some rock pools, and then we've got the ocean in the background. Now you can't see the mainland beyond the sea there, so it's like a blank canvas, and we just wanted to look at it a bit closer. Now I've realised when I put the 24mm on and get quite close and point the camera down, it makes a lovely square abstract style image. Pick the aspect ratio within the camera itself, and I've fine-tuned the composition. Now what I've noticed is the algae, because it's that neon rich green colour, and we've got that bright sunlight. It's creating some really nice contrast, and we've got these rock pools there also forming these shapes leading out towards the ocean, and then you've got a scattering of the flat rock surfaces in between. Now I've put a 6-stop filter in and a graduated filter, because what I want to do is I want to drag that shutter speed out. I'm getting around about 6 seconds, and it's making that water nice and flat, so I just want to smooth that water out. So I'm going to get back, get this shot, and I hope you like it. So we've had breakfast, we've came out, and we've headed to a place called Soup today. Now it is blue sky, but we have got cloud there, so we're hoping that it doesn't get too sunny, because we are going to be photographing some waterfalls. We're going to start off exploring around this area. So this area near Souk, off the main highway that we've came to, we were simply driving up the road and we looked over to our right hand side and we spotted this waterfall that's nestled in the background. Now the light is pretty harsh, but as it's still early morning, it's not overly harsh, and it really is backlighting some of these mosses that you can see in the tree above. So I want to try and capture an image with the use of this tree, because it's a lot different to the other trees. We've got the waterfall in the background just to the right hand side of that tree. Now it is going to be small in the frame, but the area of interest is this tree, and the waterfall in the background is just an added feature off to the left hand side of the image. But I really just want to capture the backlit mosses in this tree itself before it gets overly bright. Now it's probably going to be a 4x5, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to shoot it vertical with the 35mm, and I'm going to take 2 shots and then stitch them together, and that gives us more room to crop, and it gives us more options when I get back to post. Now I am going to be using the polarizer for this shot. I'm taking it at f11, simply focusing on this tree. That's getting everything sharp that I want sharp, and we're just going to have that waterfall nestled in the background. Well, so we tried for that first image. Now The light was really bright, it was harsh, so hopefully that's turned out when I get back. And like I said, the waterfall, it was just an added feature because it is quite far back, even though I was using the 35mm focal length. Now I did try some shots without the mosses being backlit, just so I've got a variation to look at when I get back. Now when we came to this area that we're at today, the first thing I noticed was the base of this old tree here, and it was the root system above the river with all the mosses, the vibrant green mosses, and I thought straight away that would probably make for a nice pano. Now what I found with this scene, because of that harsh light, it was really making for specular highlights in the background, and I want it to be nice and balanced, and the main attention, the main focus is going to be this root system along with those mosses. So what I've done is I've actually more or less centered this tree, and then it's just literally going to span out. Now we've got a bit further back so I can include more in the image. I'm going to take this at f11, focusing directly on this tree, and I've got the polarizer on. There's a bit of sheen coming off the rapids to my right hand side, so I want to try and limit that as much as I can. And I'll get back, get this shot, and I want to literally walk a bit further up because it is shaded more towards the waterfalls. That's where Adam is at the moment, so I want to have an explore around there before we move on to another location. So I'll get this shot, put it on the screen above, and I hope you like it.